Today's lesson is 1.2. I will be splitting this into parts 1 and part 2. So part 1, students will solve multi-step equations by using inverse operation to isolate the variable. And remember, inverse means opposite. The standards that we will cover are 8EE, 7A, and B. The page numbers from your blue Big Ideas book are pages 12 through 15 in the hardcover book and page 10 out of the practice journal. Today we're going to be working with two-step equations. In lesson 1, we went through and worked out one-step equations. Today we're going to have where we've got more than one operation involved on one side of the equal sign. We need to work to get the variable all by itself. So our whole objective is to work to get this y isolated or by itself on one side of the equal sign. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to start moving any non-variable number to the other side by doing the opposite. So when I look at this, I have my equal sign right here. My whole objective is to get y all by itself on this side of the equation. So I'm going to work by getting rid of anything that's not attached to the y. So right now, this -2 is not directly attached to the y. So we're going to do the opposite and add 2, or a +2. Whatever we do to one side of our equal sign, we have to do to the other, so +2. Okay, on the left-hand side, I've got 7y equals 19 plus 2 gives me 21. Now we're back down to a one-step equation that we solved in lesson 1. So our next step is to go ahead and get that 7 times y separated out. So right now, the opposite of multiplying is to divide. So we're going to divide by 7 to get it away from the y. So we'll come over to the right side of our equal sign and divide by 7. We now have y by itself equals 21 divided by 7 is 3. So here we found out that y equals 3. If we choose to do a self-check, when you do that, make sure that when you substitute in, you then follow orders of operation. So here, if I substitute in, this is 7 times 3, not 73. And then I can finish writing out -2. Now I'm not going to write the equals because really when I go through to solve this, I should get 19 when I solve this equation right here. 7 times 3 gives me 21. 21 minus 2 gives me 19. So I know that I did my original problem correctly when I found out that y equals 3. Okay, so let's try another one. Let's try this one. This one's a little bit different because in our first problem, we had that variable sitting in the very front part. It is up to you if you choose to do that or if you want to leave it as is, and I'll go through and actually work it out both ways. I prefer to have my 3b. I'm comfortable really either way, but I know I will have some students that prefer to have that letter sitting out in the very front part. So if you need to rewrite this, you could, but you need to make sure that you keep this negative with the 8 when you shift things. Okay, so if I were to rewrite this just so that I could have the 3b as my front number, it's a positive 3b, so I could write it like this. And then that negative has to stay with this 8. Okay, I don't get to get rid of it yet. So I'm going to write -8 equals 19. Now, some students might need this because that's just the way they need to see the problem. Other students may not. Okay, so if I go through and solve, looking at this, our first step is we're going to move any non-variable number to the other side. So I'll go ahead and work it off of the one that we originally had. So non-variable. Here it's a variable. They're attached to each other. So I'm not going to shift the 3 yet. I'm going to get rid of the one that does not have the letter or the variable attached to it. So right now I have a -8 here. What's the opposite of -8 or -8? That's +8 or +8. So +8 to cancel it out, because -8 plus 8 is 0. It's canceling it out. Whatever I did to one side of my equal sign, I have to do to the other, so +8. Simplify this out, I just have 3b left here, equals 19 plus 8 is 27. Okay, now we're back down to our one-step equation. Note that if I work on the problem that's on the right-hand side, I'm going to end up in the same end point. So here it's minus 8 plus 8, which is what we did here. Cancels out, plus 8. See how I still ended up with the same thing? 3b left here, not crossed out, equals 27. So either way, whether we prefer to shift that around, that 3b, so that it's sitting in the front or not, we still end up with the same answer, as long as we shift correctly. So now I'm going to go ahead and finish working this out. So right now it's 3 times b. I have to do the opposite and divide by 3 to get b by itself. Whatever I did on one side of my equal sign, I have to do on the other, so divide by 3. b equals 27 divided by 3 is 9. So we just found out that b equals 9. So there's a situation of where they shifted around the variable. Let's try another one. Okay, we have 14r plus 16 equals 11. Okay, we're going to get rid of any non-variable first. So right now it's plus 16. We have to work here. Minus 16. To get rid of that first. Minus 16. Now, if you're not great with mental math and you're not super at, I'm hoping you can all subtract 100 minus 16. But if you're not super confident in that, yes, you can use your calculator. But my goal is, like on problems like this, hopefully you're pretty comfortable. So if I go through 100 minus 16 is going to put me at 84. Okay, over here I still have 14 and an r. So now I need to work to get the r by itself. So let's see, it's 14 times r. We're going to divide by 14. Divide by 14. 84 divided by 14 is 6. So I just found out that r equals 6. Okay, and if you struggle with that division, no, you don't have to do it longhand. You may use your calculator. My rule is, I want to see if you know the steps, not if you're awesome at multiplying and dividing. I don't want you to get frustrated with that math, okay? I want you to work on the steps and getting comfortable with the steps. All right, so I'm going to pull one out here. I'm going to have you do this one. So as I pull it out, you're going to go ahead and pause the video and work it out on a sheet of paper or your whiteboard. So you have 3p minus 13 equals 8. So go ahead and pause your video, work through this problem, and then you can check your answer in just a minute. When you did this one, you should have gotten p equals 7. Okay, if you did not get p equals 7, why don't you check with me and I can go through your steps to see if I can help you identify where you made your mistakes. All right, we're going to go ahead and move on with our next step. So the next step is where they're going to be giving us like terms. And we need to go through and combine them or put them together where we have terms that are the same. Now a term. Terms can be where it's just a number. Terms can be where you have a number with a variable, okay? Now, if we, as we get more advanced in 8th grade and then into high school, sometimes you're going to get where you have more than one variable. So you might have a set of, or a problem, an equation that maybe has y's and x's, and you're going to combine. It's kind of like a label. That term has a label. So when I look at this problem, this -7 is just a -7. There's no label on it, okay? This x is the same as saying a 1x. Okay, these two have the same label. Okay, they have that same variable sitting behind them. So when I go through to work this out, I need to simplify these together and put them together so that I'm not looking at so much on that left-hand side of the equal sign. So my -7 is still going to stay there. There's nothing to combine it with right now. And we'll do some shifting in a minute with our 5. But right now, I'm going to keep this -7 there. Now, when I look at what I have in a box here, I have a positive 1x and a positive 2x. So 1x plus 2x, what's 1 plus 2? It's 3, right? So I have to remember that that's positive 3 with an x equals 5. So I finished writing out the rest of this. Okay, so they're adding a step. They're now putting that combining of like terms in here. Now, if you're somebody that does not like to look at the equation like this, you can shift it so that your 3x is sitting in the front. So if you like it that way, that's fine. Remember, keep the symbol with the number. So positive 3x, I can leave that positive number or positive symbol off. So 3x. The -7, the minus has to stick with the 7, or the negative has to stick with the 7. So -7, and then the equals 5 is going to stay as it is. So now you can work off of either of these equations. This one is just rewritten. Okay, so it depends on what you prefer. I'm going to go ahead and just work off of this front one, just to show you that you don't have to rewrite it. So we're going to jump back to the steps that we did on the previous slide. We have to work to get rid of any non-variable first. So right now, here's my non-variable, my non-letter. Right now it's -7. I'm going to have to do the opposite, add 7. Okay, plus 7. Okay, so now we're back to what we've been doing for the last couple days. We've got 3x left on this side equals 5 plus 7 is 12. Okay, so now we have to get x by itself. Well, 3 times x, so the opposite is divide. So divide by 3. X equals 12 divided by 3, which is 4. So x equals 4. Okay, if I'm going to substitute in to check myself, because some of you will do that, it is good practice, but I know that you can get frustrated with it also. If you're going to substitute in, remember that, whoops, my eraser didn't work there. Oh my golly. Okay, just remember that when you substitute in, this 4 is going to go where x is. So it's a -7 plus 4 plus 2, and then it's times 4. Okay, it's not 24, it's times 4 equals 5. Okay, and then if you want to go through and check on your calculator, you can. Your calculators will do the orders of operation for you. Otherwise, if you're doing it longhand, remember, combine these first because we have to follow orders of operation. So I get 8 for this part. -7 plus 4 gives me -3 plus 8. A negative and a positive, they're different symbols. Find the difference. The difference would be 5. The larger number was positive. We still did get positive 5. Okay, so that's up to you. I personally like to work with a partner, work through my problem, and then compare answers to build my confidence, to make sure that I'm getting confident in what I'm doing. Because I know sometimes when you're second guessing yourself, well, then to substitute in is kind of overwhelming, okay? So it's kind of nice to just kind of work with a partner when you're first learning. Okay, so looking at this equation, I will tell you right now, I don't like how it's set up. It doesn't bother some kids to see it set up that way. So I'm going to go ahead and actually simplify, but then I'm going to rewrite it. Because I like to see my variable on the right, or sorry, the left-hand side of the equal sign. And some kids, it doesn't bother them, but I like to work left to right. So when I combine these, I am seeing like terms here. They are the same. Okay, they have an x. So it's a +2, or 2 plus 2. And yes, they each have an x, but we're just going to carry that label with it. I get 4x here. And then I still had -2 and an equals 30 over here. Now, I don't like to see it that way, so I'm going to rewrite it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take and shift everything. I'm going to keep it in the same order, other than I'm going to flip-flop my on the opposite sides of my equal sign. So really, I'm just going to take and erase my equal sign and my 30 here and shift it to the back. Take note, I did not reorganize these two. Okay, they stayed in the same order. If I reorganize those two, I have to make sure that I keep my symbol that's in front of the number with that number. Okay, so now we're gonna go back to what we did on our previous slide. We have to get rid of any non-variable. So right now it's -2 plus 2 plus 2. We have 4x left equals 30 plus 2 is 32. And some of you will be able to work ahead of me on these. I take it at a slow pace for those that are still trying to catch on so that they can watch each and every single step. And some of you might be working ahead of me because you're confident. You've already built the skill of solving this two-step equation. Right now it's 4 times x, so I'm going to divide by 4. Divide by 4. X equals 32 divided by 4 is 8. So I just found out that x is 8. Okay, let's try another one. Okay, so here's the next one. We've got -x plus 5 plus 4x equals 23. Our first step is to work with our x's. Now, I specifically picked this one, and here's why. That -x, we have to remember, when there's not a number there, it's implied that there is a 1. Okay, you have to realize that there's really a 1 there. And so now when we combine those x's, we have to think -1 and a +4. Okay, now I don't like to think of it that way. If I have a positive and a negative, and my positive is a little larger, I just do 4 minus 1. So 4 minus 1 would give me, for these two, a 3x. Okay, then I still have this +5, so plus 5 equals 23. Okay, so there's that equation. So I want you to go ahead and pause your video, and you work your way through this problem. You should have ended up with, when you solved this problem, 6. Okay, I didn't go through all of the steps because I would like you to practice those steps. Obviously, we had done that on the previous slide also. So practice through those steps. If you didn't get 6, show me your work. I'll try and help you go through. If I'm not available, check with a partner. Okay, check with a classmate that you feel is confident in solving these two-step equations. Okay, so I'm going to slide one more out here for you guys to work on. And this one, you're going to go through and combine like terms on your own. So go ahead and pause your video again. And when you're ready to go through and check to see if you have it correct, then start the video up again. Okay, for this problem, you should have ended up with an answer of x equals -5. If you didn't get -5, double check to make sure that you got, that you combined your x's correctly. Okay, check with the partner, check with me. All right, so that's kind of the first part of lesson 2. When you are finished with the homework that goes with lesson 2, you're going to go ahead and start in on activity 2. Now that's a separate video. So it's actually activity, that should have said 1.2. It's actually activity 1.2. That's a separate video that you'll have to pull up on the website.